All right, back here on SportsLine, 737-7767 is the number. Still plenty of lines for you guys to call in and be a part of the show here if you would like. Going to take a few more questions, comments here on this. We've been talking the Tennessee allegations today. More coming out. Butch Jones allegedly calling a former player a traitor in his office for helping one of the young women who alleges that she is a rape victim at the hands of a former Tennessee football player. A couple other Jane Does added to the plaintiff report today. Von Pearson's name connected to one. Newcomer Alexis Johnson connected to the other. These are things that are pretty ugly, at least in the allegation phase. And again, that's where we're at here. So obviously there's more to hear from this story. There will ultimately be a definitive ruling and information where we can get an idea of what actually happened. But at least right now, in the plaintiff's filing, it paints an ugly picture for the University of Tennessee. 737-7767 is the number. Let's go to Saul. Saul, good evening.
Hey, what's going on, my friend?
What's up?
I was mainly calling to, I heard the caller previously. Kind of got me a little agitated, but I'll refrain from most of the things because this is a definite touchy subject. There's certain things in this kind of subject you can say, certain things you can't that just totally will flip people out. So I totally know there's an area I need to stay in, but my main point is it's difficult to, as a dean of a college or a president of a college, it's difficult to say that you stand against all these horrible acts. But yet, if you go to any college football game, I mean, what are the music that's mostly playing? What are the things that you mostly see on the screen? It's the culture of all this stuff. How can we complain about how all this horrible stuff is happening, but yet we're feeding out the kind of music that, basically promotes these kind of things? And again, I know that's a subject that, a lot of people would disagree with, and it's not the music that causes people to do this. It's not the video games. I totally get it. I'm not being a grandma. But at the same time, we can't promote all these different kinds of things and use them to make money at our football games, and then turn around a week later when something silly happens and says, how did this happen? Like, it starts at the root of all this stuff. It's not just about going on TV and saying, oh, we don't support any horrible things like this. You got to start from the very top. You got to start from what you're pushing out for your entire students to be listening to be watching. It really is a core issue that sparks really, really deep in this whole world. And I think all we're doing, basically, especially with the Vanderbilt case, that other stuff, all we're doing is just sitting around talking about the outside issues, talking about all the core, what can we do to change this? Do we need to start, and it's silly because all you have to do is literally start changing what we watch, what we listen to, what goes into our brains. And unfortunately, most of the stuff these colleges are pushing into our brains are stuff that causes stupid actions like this. So my main point, and it's kind of a question, is do you believe, or mostly everyone, does everyone believe that this can be stopped just by a couple of advertisements of some famous athletes standing up? Or does this have to be stopped from within each and every college, starting from the very beginning as far as classes, 8 o'clock in the morning all the way to 4 in the afternoon? And I'll let you speak on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good call. I think it's well thought out there. Here's my thought. I think this isn't an institutional thing at Tennessee, no matter what is proven to be the case or what have you. I don't think it's an institutional thing at Tennessee. We've seen it at other schools, allegations at Virginia and Duke and things at Missouri, and Baylor's had issues and Oregon's had issues. We've seen it a lot of different places. To me, it's not an institutional thing. To me, it is a societal thing. We have reached a point now where I don't know what validates it, but we've kind of reached a crossroads where it seems to be happening more and more. And maybe part of that is maybe women are starting to get a little bit more empowered, and they're starting to report it more and more. And they're having movements behind it, and so we're paying more attention to a problem that has been this big for quite some time. I'm not honestly sure between that, but it's a problem that's out there for sure. And I think it starts with everything. I think it starts in homes. I think we have too many homes where you have single parents and you don't have fatherly influences there that are doing a great job of instructing their young men, young boys, what it takes to be a man, what they should be doing in relationships, things like that. I think it starts there. I think it starts at schools as kids are growing up. I think it does go to universities. And bottom line is all of these universities, not just athletic programs, but all of these universities, they're businesses. They make money by bringing people in and getting your tuition dollars and sending you through the program and sending you off to get a job and then getting your donations afterwards. That's how they operate. And so while they are noble and they give you education and do great things, they are businesses. And lawsuits like this are bad for the bottom line. And so when you have these stories, I hate to say that anyone ever tries to sweep them under the rug, because I truly believe most people, when confronted with this type of stuff, are well-meaning. There's no one out there who is pro-sexual assault, or at least I hope not. But I do think sometimes when you're staring at the bottom line or whatever, you don't always think what the best outcome is or what the best scenario is or how to help this person the best. You think of the other things as well. And we've got to get by that. We've got to get by that as a society. So I think it's a full-on thing where you've got to involve everybody. You got to involve parents at home from an early age. You've got to involve schools at the local level at an early age, on through high school, and universities got to step up, because that is the point where these kids get their independence. That is the point where alcohol gets thrown into the equation in oftentimes large quantities for the first time in their life. And they start to do things that they've probably never done before. And they better know what's okay. They better know that stuff. We've all got to be a part of making sure that they do know that, or this problem's going to continue. Hello, Mike. What's going on tonight?
Hey, I got a question to ask you right quick, if you don't mind, sir.
You bet.
My question is, have you guys ever thought about doing a series back like in the 70s and the 80s with sports and where we were and where we're going with new sporting events coming, like the new, like with the Titans playing now, and we have a hockey team? And I also like to comment about how you were talking about earlier with the parents and everything. To me, it kind of goes back to like the Mean Joe Green Day when he threw the jersey to the kid, how kids look up to football players. I feel like maybe they ought to go back being a great role model for kids. I'm not saying that a lot of the players in the NFL are not doing that now, but I feel like, that maybe they might want to do it as a new level, like you said, go into high schools and be such a mentor to the new generation of kids coming up in high schools, to be aware, you don't have to do drugs, anything like that. God can make you to a great athlete. And I just like to really commend you as a sports analyst. It's a great job that you're doing up there, and just keep up the great work, man, and hang in there. And thank you guys so much for all you do.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Mike, before you hang up, are you still there with me? I guess not. We lost Mike. I was going to ask him back on his first point there. But no, I agree. I think that's part of it, is the days where Mean Joe Green's tossing the jersey to the kid in the Coke commercial and things like that. Every time that happens, that's good. Every time that athletes reach down and do positive things for young kids, I think that's good. But it also shouldn't always have to be athletes, Be the person in your neighborhood. Be the parent in your house. Do stuff at the local level that reaches out to these young kids. We're all a part of helping young people grow up and mature and be a part of this. And, I think one of the really scary things about a lot of the sexual assault stuff that you hear is how prevalent it is on our college campuses. And again, it's not to say it doesn't happen in the rest of society, but it's something like you kind of get away from college, you become an adult, hopefully you figure out what's okay, what's appropriate. And by and large, a lot of people do. But you go to those college parties and those sort of things, and everything happens there. And these situations seem to come up more times than not, more times than anybody would like them to come up. And so we got to be better as parents, as role models, as friends, as athletes. They need to be better to teach the next group of kids that when you go to college, you better get yourself out of those situations. You better stay far away from that, because that is not appropriate. And not is it just not appropriate, it's heinous. It's absolutely despicable, some of the things that you hear in these stories. And I don't know what the answer is ultimately, but I don't think it's as simple as ads at a football game or in the commercials of a football game. I think it is a way more widespread thing than that, that's going to take a lot of people to get involved to try to change the culture that we've already established. All right, time to take a break here. We will come back. We'll switch gears. We'll get into a little football talk here. John up at the NFL Combine. He'll help fill us in on what the Titans are thinking day one of the Combine as it pertains to that number one pick that everybody wants to know what they're going to do with 2 months out. And we'll also hear from Zach Stacy, former Vanderbilt running back, now with the New York Jets, rehabbing, trying to get himself back and ready for the 2016 season. Stay tuned. You're watching SportsLine here on News Channel 5+.